Who's the co-chair for planning? Mina, I'm going to ask if you can come up in Councilman Bettney's absence for our joint committee meeting to consider BL 2018-1196, which is the capital improvements budget. So as outlined in the charter, council members and committee members, you know, we have to pass a capital improvements budget by June 15th. Also, today there will be an adjourned council meeting after this joint committee meeting. Unlike last year, before us on the agenda today is solely the capital improvements budget. We have 5 amendments. Last year, I believe we had 36, and we were also considering the capital spending plan all at the same time. So today, we just have the CIB along with amendments. I'm going to read the caption. We have bills on third reading. BL 2018-1196, sponsors Virtue and Bettney, adopts the 2018, 2019 through 2023, 2024 capital improvements budget for fiscal year 2018 to 2019. Is there a motion? Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Councilman Mendez.
I guess I just wanted to ask first, do you want to go through each one in order?
We will. It's only 5. Unlike last year, we had 36, and we did a consent agenda, so we can go through each amendment and have discussion accordingly.
Do you want to go ahead and do that? We'll start with the first one.
We can, and just for the viewing audience and for the sake of everyone that has their packet, the First Amendment, I believe that's the Bridgestone. Is that how it references in your packet? Okay, so that'll be Amendment A.
All right, then I would like to move Amendment A with the explanation.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on Amendment A? Seeing, you want to go ahead with go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So this is listed for fiscal 19. It's a new entry in the CIB. It is for $50 million worth of improvements to the Bridgestone Arena. I understand that the Sports Authority did not request this, and there's currently no contractual obligation for this. A year ago, when a study came out saying that there was a total of $477 million worth of need over 20 years for Nissan and Bridgestone, the administration statement was that the next steps were to have an action plan for each of the facilities, and then a decision would have to be made how to split the costs. But in the media reports, at least, it said that it would be $8 to $12 million per year per facility, I think at this point, there's no action plan that we're aware of. Sports Authority hasn't requested this. There's no specific projects that this money is tied to. It's, I think, a quote-unquote placeholder, and it's along with the $50 million listed separately for Nissan Stadium. It's way in excess of at least what was stated by the administration to the media a year ago. And so at the end of the day, with no known specific projects on the horizon for fiscal 19, and this being new and a placeholder, my suggestion is that it be removed from the CIB until there's an action plan that will identify how money should be spent and how much and over what time period. I know all of us want to upkeep the Bridgestone. It's one of the finest arenas in the world, one of the busiest arenas in the world, but we should do planning with a plan rather than just a placeholder number. So with that, I renew my motion to delete that line item from the CIB.
Thank you, Councilman Mendez. And this is the discussion on Amendment Alpha A. Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I just get an official explanation from Mr. Cooper without an H, John without an H. This is, it says it's a proposed revenue bond. Is this the kind of bond that if it's in there, we no longer have an opportunity to comment on?
No, ma'am. Unlike the water revenue bonds that we dealt with last week, the Water Department has its own commercial paper program where the council has essentially pre-authorized up to $250 million or whatever the number is for water sewer projects if they're, in the CIB. That's not the case here. The Sports Authority does not have the authority to issue debt or spend any of this money until the council authorizes it. So this is just the capital improvements document makes projects eligible for future funding regarding Sports Authority, but the council would have to approve any subsequent debt issuance.
Thank you. And then I'm not sure who this question is to, but is there precedence for putting a number in before we have a plan, just so that we know we want something in the, I mean, that's, to me, that sort of seems like the purpose of the CIB is to acknowledge that we know we want to spend money at some point. Is there other precedents we can look to for having done that in the past?
I mean, so for the Bridgestone Arena and the stadium, we're contractually obligated to maintain for the stadium, it's maintained in a first-class condition, and the arena has similar language, maintaining it similar to comparable facilities. So we're responsible for all of the capital expenditures at those facilities. So yes, this would just make it, in the event we did have to do something this year, as Councilman Mendez said, there is no plan to spend any money this year. But in the event it was needed, this makes that expenditure eligible if the council approves the authorization of the debt.
Thank you. So we have to approve it, and if it's not there in the event something is needed, we have to wait a year. Is that correct?
Either that or amend the capital improvements budget with 27 votes.
27 votes. Okay, thank you. I appreciate Mr. Mendez keeping an eye on things, but to me it seems like better planning to acknowledge that we have an obligation to that, and it might pop up this year. I'd rather keep it as something that we know is out there than be surprised by it mid-year. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Vice Chair Shulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my questions are along the same lines as Council Lady Allen. I mean, again, the question was, what's it doing in here? I know it's the CIB. I know that it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So why all of a sudden did it pop up? And maybe the following is that I know that there were studies going on about what improvements might be. Obviously, we're trying to make sure that, I mean, we've got a very difficult operations budget we're trying to go through, and now we're putting $50 million. I know that it's not being spent. It's just a placeholder. But the question is, why $50 million, and why is it sitting here?
Councilman, if I could try to help it, because I think that a couple things I'd like to say. Obviously, the CIB is the wish book is the planning document. And so the idea is that you need to have it in that document, and it's better to do it during the normal course of when the council approves the CIB rather than trying to do it 3 months from now or 4 months from now. So that's the purpose. Specifically as it relates to Bridgestone, there was a study done to talk about long-term needs. We are, in the course over the next few weeks, having discussions with the creditors about extending the term of their agreement to stay here. Longer term, and part of that will involve a discussion of capital improvements to the arena. As you can imagine, their commitment to stay, we're going to have to talk about how we're going to fund capital improvements, down the road. And so, putting a number in the 50 million was not is a somewhat arbitrary number. It doesn't have to be 50 million. It could be something different than that. But putting that in there gives us the flexibility that, A, if something happened to the arena this year, we've got the authorization to proceed subject to a plan of finance that the council would have to approve without amending the CIB. And it's, again, just good, I think, prudent planning to have it in this document. It's not something that just popped up, but it's something that's going to we have legal obligations to maintain the arena to certain standards, and we're going to have to continue to do that over the course of time. I would also remind you that this is shown as revenue bonds. It's not shown as general obligation bonds. And so we would have to come to you with a revenue source stream, which are basically the existing revenues that are generated at the arena, either through the seat taxes or other sales tax redirect, in order to fund these improvements. But it gives some flexibility as we go forward, which is simply why it's there. It's not trying to hide anything, or there's no secret plan to do this, but it's, to me, good planning for as we go forward as a city to accept the obligations that we have on both of these buildings.
And Madam Chair and Mr. Eveling, I appreciate that. I think, we always want to know, obviously this is a planning document, so we always want to know why things get into this planning document. And I think you addressed it, actually, by talking about the predators and the people who perform there. If we have discussions about the long-term leases, I'm not sure if we understood that or not. If that's why it's in there, just to show, or just to figure out as something that is at least on the table for discussions, that's okay. I can understand that. If it was just sitting there, it's, I would guess that most citizens don't understand the difference between what this is and what the capital spending plan is and what we're going through with the operations budget. $50 million for Bridgestone area improvements when we can't do a lot of things that we would like to do makes people nervous. I understand that this is just a number, and I'm not sure exactly why it's 50 million, and maybe it could have been 10 million. It's just a placeholder, and nothing can happen unless it comes back to us, so I understand the reason for the placeholder. Again, my question was, why now? Why wouldn't it be next year? But if we've got something going on in terms of discussions and that helps the situation just for planning purposes, I can live with that.
Yes, sir.
But I really think, I think this council is learning that it has to be much more inquisitive and more specific in terms of why things are showing up in different places, and that's why we have to ask.
I respect that, and I appreciate your questions, and I think they're all very fair, legitimate questions. But I think that is true. There is, have basic beginning discussions with the Predators about extending their term. They've got, I think, 8 or 10 years to run on the lease. They'd like to go ahead and extend it much longer, and that'll be a give and take negotiations. I don't know how it's going to turn out yet. I hope at the end of the day it's going to cost us less money, down the road. But I think having this in here, does send a good message to the Predators that we're serious about recognizing our needs to keep the building in first-class condition.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Prodmore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me see if I can get this straight in my head. This is no different than a project that we want to put in our own district that we request on the wish list, on the capital improvements budget, that someday to be funded and to be done. So, and if it's not in the capital improvements budget, we can't get it funded. So this is no different. Is that it? It's just not, we're not spending the money. It's on the wish list of if it needs to be done. It's just a safety net, very similar to what we do in our individual district in capital improvements in our district. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, again, just to emphasize, first let me say two things. One, yes, we can only spend any of this money by subsequent action by the council. So we can't go start drawing down this money or anything like that unless the council approved. And we did have conversations with the Sports Authority, with the director there, finance did, and they knew that we were going to put into CIB placeholders, whatever term you want to use, for both buildings, in this year's proposal before the council.
Okay. So if I had a major or a capital project expenditure or wanting to be an expenditure in my district that's not on the capital improvement budget, then I would have to come before the council and ask for I'd have to have an amendment to get it put on the capital before we can get that done. So this is just, and this is actually is going one step further, if I understand, because regardless if it's on the budget, you still have to come before council and the Sports Authority. Okay.
Sports Authority would essentially, the Sports Authority would pass a resolution asking the council to give it the authority to do something.
So this, to me, it's just the way we've been doing business, as far as long as the money hasn't been put into an account. Well, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. So, Mr. Riebling, on this, I understand CIB. I get that piece of it. Here's where I have difficulty when all of a sudden these things appear, is I look at what occurred this morning with the Fair Board, and all of a sudden we had money out there for what we thought in the council was going to be improvement to the existing buildings, and now all of a sudden, apparently we were thinking about tearing all that stuff down and doing all kinds of fun stuff out there that could cost a whole lot more money. And so help me understand the relevance of why it needs to be 50 million. Because, and let me repeat, if I can, what you guys have said to us multiple times on the floor. The council approved this, being the CIB, or whatever the council has done. So if this council finishes our term in another year and 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden the administration decides to walk in and put the $50 million in there, how does the next council truly understand what it's to be used for, how it's to be used, and the exact purpose of why this got added all of a sudden?
Each year, the council approves a new CIB. That's the
Right.
council's
No, I
role.
get that.
So in the next council will have, will have a CIB its first year, just like you did and both of your term. So that's not going to change anything.
Okay, but the problem is once it gets into the CIB, then it comes back and it's put in the capital spending plan for whatever purpose down the road. And if we don't truly understand what the purpose of spending that money is for, it kind of slides through. And I'm using the fairgrounds as an example because, Mr. Riebling, quite frankly, the money we approved for the fairgrounds, I thought was to improve the existing buildings. It's not. And so, I mean, I'm sitting here saying, all right, if we give $50 million to Bridgestone Arena, are we in fact opening ourselves up to tear that down and build something new?
50 million wouldn't come close to paying for that.
Not saying it would.
I think as I talk to the Predators and all of our discussions in terms of extending the lease and renegotiating the terms, all talk about how they have the best building in the city, in the country rather. It's the best location, and we just want to keep it in first-class condition. And that's simply what we're doing is having what I would call good planning to have it in there. Unlike a capital spending plan, this item has to go to the Sports Authority before it ever come back for spending any money. It has to come back to the council. So there's at least 2 bodies that would have to sign off on it, and what it's being spent for, the amount, and all that. So there's checks built into the system. This just starts that process. That simply is what we're doing here.
Okay. And so, Chair, I'll close with this. Mr. Riebling, do you understand why there's several of us out here on the floor that have problems believing what we hear sometimes? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Cooper, at large.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. A couple of questions. Proposed revenue bonds. So this is a specific pledge of revenue from what?
There's no pledge at this point in time, but the bonds would be issued backed by revenues that are identified in the funding documents that would come before the council. Here, it would, in most cases for the arena, it is the various seat charges they collect there and the redirect of sales tax.
So there would be a specific increase in revenue to cover the debt service for these bonds?
I don't know if there would be an increase, but there would be revenues identified that are revenue stream identified that would be sufficient to.
And if they did not, so you're saying they would cover it? If they did not cover it, it would be a general fund obligation, wouldn't it?
That's correct. Yes, correct. Yes,
it would be a general fund obligation.
But it's structured as a revenue bond, not a general obligation bond, and the revenue stream would be sufficient to pay for the debt.
Okay. Well, normally, the revenue comes first, and you know what you can pay for. So why wouldn't we do it in that
And
order?
we have the revenue stream there from the sales tax redirect that comes to the arena.
So
and
there's
also
a,
from
there's
the
a
seat
surplus?
checkers.
There's a surplus in revenue right now at Bridgestone?
There's debt that's being retired, and there's ways to restructure debt to do that. And I don't have a plan of finance before you, Councilman, I told you that. And simply that, but that would be the revenue streams that would pay for this.
Okay, well, let's go back. Is there a surplus at Bridgestone?
I don't know that. I don't know that. The funds that go for Bridgestone go to pay their current obligations. I don't know if there's a surplus at Bridgestone, not that I know of. I don't know.
So to pay for additional debt would require additional revenue?
Depends on the timing of the debt and as other debt gets paid off.
Well, I don't think anybody here is contemplating a restructuring of the Bridgestone debt to extend payments, so to
I'm
speak.
not trying to, that's not what I said. I didn't say anything about extending payments.
Okay, well, you were, so we're back to the original question. Does Bridgestone have a surplus?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so.
Well, wouldn't we need to know that before we
Councilman,
go any further?
You're taking it to the next step, which is a plan of finance, which we don't have before you tonight.
Well, but as a negotiating standpoint, normally you go and say, we're going to need, if you want these improvements, we're going to need this amount of revenue.
That will have to come in due course.
And otherwise, the general obligation taxpayer picks up the tab.
It would be our intent not to put this on the burden of the taxpayers of the city. That is our intent.
Okay?
But I don't have a plan of finance. You keep, I mean, I respect your questions. They're good questions. I just don't have that plan of finance before you tonight.
Well, speaking of that plan, so the Sports Authority did not oversee this request, did not recommend this request, or ask for this
The Sports
request?
Authority was aware of this request, and I believe is supportive of this request.
Okay, now that in the earlier narrative, they were so they approved this request? The Sports Authority Board has approved this submission for the CIB?
I don't believe that there's been a formal action taken by the Sports Authority, but the director of the authority was notified, and I believe is supportive of having this included.
Well, then what does the Sports Authority do if
Well,
they
they
don't
would-
approve CIB requests for $50 million?
They would have to approve any any plan of finance before it would come back.
But what do they do? We're spending $900,000 of general fund money for the Sports Authority operation. How could they not be fundamental in making the request? What do they do?
They recognize our obligation, they oversee the operation of all our sports facilities.
Well, not if they're not involved in making the CIB request.
Executive staff was involved and aware of this.
Well, you said you notified them. That's a little bit different, isn't it?
I don't think it is, Councilman. I think you're putting words into my mouth.
Well, I thought I was quoting you and saying that you notified them
And I believe I also said, I believe they were supportive of this request.
once you notified them. Yes, okay. All right, thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Councilman Mendez, I'm going to come back to you at the end of the discussion. Council Lady Dow. Council Lady Dow. Council Lady Dow.
Thank you. I just wanted to just make one clarification about our CIB, because one of the council members stated that this is the council members' wish list of projects that they wanted funded in their district, and it's not just the council person's wish list of what they want funded. We oftentimes see projects listed on the CIB that are projects that we are not interested in having funded in our district. So some of these projects come from the administration where they want to place certain items in our district. And so I just want to make a clarification that this wish list may be part of the administration of what they want for a particular area and some of the things that we submit as council members.
Thank you so much. Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a couple questions for, I guess, Finance or Mr. Riebling. Regarding revenue bonds, just in general, do we issue revenue bonds before revenues come in for projects?
Well, we would have to identify the revenues and know they're coming in and have if there was approvals of the revenue streams either by the council or the Sports Authority through a ticket tax or seat charge, that all would have to be done before we could incur any debt. You'd have to know where the money's coming from. Yes, sir.
So you have to know where the money's coming from, you have to identify the source of revenue, and then that's how the bonds can be issued to investors, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mendez.
Thanks. I wanted to follow up with Legal Director Cooper. or maybe it's Mr. Riebling, I'm not sure. I want to follow up on this concept of the CIB as a planning document. I heard that there's no plan to spend money in fiscal 19, but it would be there just in the event that we had something to do this year, and that it's a placeholder. Is there, I mean, is there any set of circumstances where it would be 50 million in fiscal 19? I mean, is there any conceivable project that could be bonded in the next 12 and a half months?
I mean, conceivable. I think it not likely we'd authorize 50 million over the next year, but I think it could happen based on, depending on how fast the negotiations with the creditors might go. And part of that commitment might be reduced payments, but, you know, they pick up, you know, we have more commitment on the capital improvements to the building. Potentially. I mean, again, it just gives you the flexibility going forward.
Is there any project that's been discussed for the next 12 and a half months?
I think there's been it's been identified a number of things that need to be done at the building. And some of which, you know, things break. Sometimes you have to make, you know, decisions on making, maintenance improvements to the building when things happen. And this gives you potential stream if that happens.
All right, thanks. I mean, I'm still at it's extraordinarily hypothetical. Most everything in the CIB has got some resemblance to a real number. And I'd still think that, you know, if it said fiscal 20, if it said a number that more matched what was discussed by the administration a year ago, 8 to 12 million per year per facility, maybe. But if it's you know, a quote somewhat arbitrary number of 50 million as a placeholder to be spent in the next 12 and a half months, I think that it should come out till there's more specificity. So would renew the motion, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Henderson, discussion on Amendment A.
Yes, Chair Vercher. I support this amendment, colleagues. Mr. Mendez just spoke to part of what I was going to say, and I also feel like if we need to amend the capital spending plan, if this project has merit, then it should be able to meet the 27 vote threshold. So this doesn't preclude them from coming back.
You mean to amend the capital improvement budget?
Indeed. Yes, ma'am. I apologize. So, you know, if they do get more specificity as to what needs to be done, then they can come back and get over that 27 vote threshold, because if the project has merit, it's something we support as a council and a community, then I'm sure 27 of us would vote for it. So I would encourage us to support this amendment because it's 50 million of uncertain that we can't speak to. So thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Council Lady Van Rees.
I believe that there were maybe 22 of us brand new 2.5 years ago. And one of the first things I learned about the capital and improvement budget was that if it's not in there, it won't get done. Just conferring with Councilmember Pridemore that the Madison Community Center was in the budget for 10 years before it finally made its way into the plan. We know as district council people that if we want something done now or 3 years from now, the sooner you can get it in the budget, the more apt that those numbers can start flushing themselves out. Whether it's something that you want in a parks project, whether it's a stoplight you need or sidewalks that you need, those numbers come into the budget before they can ever get to the plan.
The capital improvement budget.
Yeah, they have to get in the budget before they can get into the plan. And so this, to me, seems like an obligation of this council body to plan ahead. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We don't need to wait to find out next year or the following year what this council body looks like in order for them to do the right thing. It's our obligation to do this now because this is what needs to be done now, and that is to plan ahead. And I don't believe that this amendment is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Chair Lady. And very quickly for finance, just for clarity, the subsidy for Nashville Arena in this year's operating budget request, $3.35 million, that is for Bridgestone?
Yes, there is an operating subsidy amount in there for Bridgestone.
An operating subsidy for Bridgestone. And what does that money go to?
It goes, just to run the facility. It could be small incidental type repairs and things like that, but everything from utilities to.
And what is the number going to be next year? Is this a long-term commitment?
It is absolutely a long-term commitment, but the number, we evaluate that number every year to determine.
But last year, it was a little bit higher?
Yes, it was.
And this year, it's 3.3 million, and next year, we could expect it to be probably more than 3 million also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bridgestone.
I don't have any reason to believe that you're going to have a significant reduction in that number.
Okay. And that's through the life of the contract with the Predators?
Yes.
And when does that expire?
John, do you know the date? I don't. They're saying they think it's 26 or 20.
26 or 27 at this level of $3+ million a year for the out years. And then I remember last year there was a statement that the Sports Authority confirmed, I was quoting a local newspaper, that we've spent about $85 million as a subsidy for Bridgestone in the last 10 or so years.
It would be easy to get to that number.
Okay. And so we're anticipating another 20+ million from the general fund.
Yes.
From the general fund for the subsidy for the Nashville Arena.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Vice Chair Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a good discussion, good exercise. I know it's planning, but part of what we're all trying to do, particularly as we go through all these budgetary things, is to come up with solutions. And I'm hearing both sides of the argument. Again, my worry initially was that people look at this and go, how can you put $50 million from a project amount? I know it's the CIB. I know we're not spending it, but people are going like, we don't have any money to do the basic stuff in the operations budget. This is capital, I know. But I still haven't heard exactly. I know it's kind of a placeholder. I also know that it's, there is no specific amount that we're going to spend. There's nothing set on it. It's just sitting there. But in order to make everybody a little bit more comfortable, why wouldn't we reduce the amount? So just for purposes of discussion, and I can get information from the administration as well, why wouldn't we amend this and take it from 50 million down to 10 million? I know it would be a late file. I know it would have to be suspended on the floor. But I would move that we take the project amount from 50 million down to 10 million. And I know you'll need a second, but just for the purposes of understanding, if something big comes up, we're here. We're not going anywhere. We are going to be right here, and we will deal with it. But it certainly makes it a little bit easier for people, I think, to swallow in the body. So I would move that we take the amount from 50 million down to 10 million.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded to, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Schulman, thank you, Council Lady Henderson. We had another motion on the floor. So I'm going to finish the discussion up on the initial motion that's on the floor, and then I'll come back. Councilman Glover.
So sorry about this, but bring me back to the initial, before I ask the question, I want to make sure I'm staying on topic with you.
So we had a motion on the floor for Amendment A. That's to remove the 50 million.
Okay.
So the motion was made. We're still on the discussion for that, and then Councilman Schulman was wanting to come back and amend the motion that was on the floor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just want to make sure, because that's what I want to talk about, the 50 million. So, Mr. Jameson, do we have a mechanism that if we put it in the CIB now, that automatically ranks it, that we would do this ahead of something else? Because don't we put things in the CIB that actually topple anything else we might do here on the floor, even though we may have had it sitting out there for years and years and years in our councilmatic districts. If it gets added and we decide that's the one we want to do and it gets put in this capital spending plan, then it goes ahead and moves right to the top of the line, doesn't it?
So the council has essentially a new prioritization method. All of the council members submit their projects beginning in October. They are all submitted to the planning department for a report. Then the budget and the planning committees meet jointly to prioritize those requests. They are then submitted to the finance office, and finance was in receipt of that list, I believe, February 9th. So in answer to your question, yes, if this particular amendment would not be ranked within that scenario because it was not submitted through the council process.
Okay. And so in other words, what we think is important in our districts, unless we agree with the administration or what the administration proposes to us, then if they propose something and we say, oh, yep, that should top, and 21 of us agree, yeah, it should top what we think we should do in our districts, then it could be trumped, correct?
Well, the prioritization is not binding. This, again, is a planning document. This is for purposes of informing the administration what the council collectively considers their group priorities.
Okay. And so then my final question, I'm going to ask finance this question, if I may. One of the problems we have with not being able to pay our bills right now, not being able to offer what we should be able to offer and what we promise to our employees, does that have anything to do with debt service and the escalating amount that it's rising over the last year, this year, and in the coming 2 years?
I would say that we do have to meet our debt service requirements first in the operating budget before we consider other improvements.
So I would say it would be prudent for us to not put money in a capital spending plan or a capital improvement budget that we don't have to worry about spending. And I think we do need to send the right message to the taxpayers of Nashville that we're doing our job. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Glover. Councilman Withers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just briefly want to echo comments from some of the other council members. I appreciate the diligence of the sponsor of this amendment towards requiring a plan, which is a good thing. When we have an asset that is of this major importance to the economy of our county, and also one that is advancing in age, there are any number of possible things that could need fixing in a hurry in order to continue the activity in those facilities that generate so much other tax revenues for our city. So I think it is wise to potentially have a little bit of a buffer zone in there that we could consider. We would still have to have a finance plan that would come before this council. Having this item in the capital improvements budget does not spend any money. It does not issue any additional debt. I do believe that it is a cushion. I do agree that there could maybe have been a little bit more of an advance notice process of working with the Sports Authority to identify some specific items that might be spent upon. But I just don't want us to get into a position in which a major repair of this or another major facility would be needed, and we would potentially be held up in getting approvals for that longer than would be necessary. So again, because this does not issue any debt of any kind, I am opposed to the amendment, at least as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Pridemore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know what there is to explain anymore. It's not money. It is not money. It's like going to take your car to get an estimate, and if you want to fix it, it will cost you $50 million to fix it. But it is not money. We have not spent the money. There's no money going to any debt service to this. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a little frustrated. We've been around here long enough to know it is not money. It is not, and you want to say it's taxpayers' money. It's not committed money. This money is not being taken out of one fund and put into another fund. It is an estimate that, hey, maybe one day the Bridgestone Arena may need $50 million. But in that day that happens, we'll come before the council and we will get your approval. And we'll go to the Sports Authority and get your approval. It's not cash money. We don't have $50 million sitting in an account
That we
waiting to be
don't.
spent. Thank you.
Yeah. Vice Chair, you want me to come back to you, or Councilman Mendez?
Just procedurally, I mean, I don't care which way we do it.
We haven't
but
taken a vote on your amendment yet.
No, but I thought Mr. Schulman was talking about amending my amendment, which would make his motion the one that's up, right?
That's correct. You could entertain that and accept that amendment. You could insist on proceeding with your amendment up or down. That would not preclude Councilman Schulman from then proceeding with a separate amendment on his own. He'd suspend the rules, but
I mean, I don't really want to agree to his amendment, but procedurally, that's what's up next, right?
no, I think if you were talking about a deferral or some other Trump motion, that's fine. But an amendment to an amendment, that's the discretion is yours to accept it or insist on proceeding with your amendment that's on the floor.
Well, you know, I hear what he's saying about his amendment. I guess he'll pursue that after up or down on mine. You know, we're flying without a safety net on the Bridgestone, having $50 million in the CIB this year, and we seem to be doing okay. The number, while it's not money, is not an estimate. It's a plug number. So, I mean, we've belabored it enough at this point.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Councilor Johnson, we're going to get to the vote.
Thank you, Chair Vercher. I am very frustrated as a seasoned council member to sit here and listen to us grandstand to the taxpayers on something that is definitely not going to make or break this situation at all. What I'm saying is, CIB items are listed, just like Councilman Pridemore said. And this is an opportunity for them to pull from the money that's there. They're giving an estimate. We're being unfair as council members because the Sports Authority is not here. Nobody is here we don't micromanage what the departments do. But to sit up here and grandstand because you want to make a political statement to people to make yourself look good doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think that this is the right thing to do, to take this out of the CIB. One of the reasons is just like Councilman Pridemore said, we're not spending any money. If we were sitting here talking about the mayor's capital spending plan, then that has some teeth. But this CIB, I don't think we should be up here grandstanding over it so that we can send a message to taxpayers when in actuality you're not doing anything.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Councilor Johnson. So we're going to go ahead and take the vote on Vice Chair Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I'm listening to the discussion. I've been trying to figure out a way to, I know there's some tough words being said, trying to figure out some way to reach some type of compromise. I think I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Thank you so much. We spent 45 minutes on Amendment A. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and call for the vote for Amendment A, which removes $50 million from the capital improvement budget, the Bridgestone Arena improvements. So we're going to take the vote, Budget and Finance Committee first, and then we will, Councilor Johnson will call for the vote for Planning and Zoning. So this is the vote for Budget and Finance. All in favor? Opposed?
Show of hands.
Okay, now we're going to need a show of hands. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 for, 0 against, however you are. Five, 4, 6 against, it fails.
5, 4, 6 against. Amendment fails. Amendment A fails. your microphone? I got all of them lit up.
I was wanting to not take it out. I pressed my button, but nobody's acknowledged me.
So you wanted to vote it?
I want to just leave it there. Just leave it. I'm not for the amendment.
All right, so.
So what's the? You vote for, that means you support taking it out.
Okay. Councilor Dowell.
Well, I move to Planning, Zoning, Historical Committee, all in favor of Amendment A.
1, 2.
All. Okay, Amendment A, if you are in favor of moving Amendment A, that is to remove $50 million from capital CIB. If you are in favor removing $50 million, that is Amendment A. Raise hand.
1, 2.
All opposed on Amendment A.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and however she's voting. How is she voting?
Amendment fails.
All right. Amendment fails, both committees. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how she voted. Okay. It still fails. All right.
Okay, now we're on to Amendment B, Bravo. This will an amendment to delete $350,000. The MTA projects, including the Music City Central, public artwork at Music City Central. Council Lady, give me 1 second. Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Vercher. On behalf of Councilman O'Connell, I would move to withdraw Amendment B due to a clerical error, and rather move, apologize. Wait. Mr. Jameson, did I get out of whack here?
We'll get to it in order, so if you just want to withdraw it, you don't even have to move to withdraw it, just withdraw it.
Okay, withdrawn, please.
So Amendment B is withdrawn. Now we're on page 3 of your packet. That is Amendment C, Charlie. This amendment deletes, this is for the Nissan Stadium improvements, $50 million.
That's your order. Master
Which
planning.
one? Which one are you on?
Master planning for transit. Master planning for transit system.
Okay.
300,000.
Okay, we have, I'm sorry. So Amendment C, my packet is a little different, I apologize. Moves to delete $300,000 from the master planning for transit system. Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Vercher. In its brevity, that doesn't look good, but it is related particularly to Metro Arts and master planning for arts and transit. And so Councilman O'Connell, in conferring with Metro Arts and MTA, they acknowledge, again, just from a cleanup standpoint, that this is a good one to remove at this point. Councilman O'Connell has sent a letter to both our committees to that effect. So with that, I would please move Amendment C.
It's been moved and properly seconded. You're not withdrawing Amendment C, correct?
Correct.
You're going to move it, correct?
No, ma'am. I am moving the amendment which removes that
I got you.
funding, but MTA and
I
Metro
misheard you.
Arts both concur with that.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Now we're on this discussion for Amendment C. Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for waving. I just want some clarification because the wording is different and this one doesn't mention art. Can we get someone from MTA to, just to confirm that that is indeed what this is and that we are doing what they've agreed to?
Mr. Bland?
It's a reference to BL 2018-1196.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The way Council Lady Henderson described it is as we understand it. It was intended to be a post-referendum planning process for public art. Frankly, we originally had a lot of projects in the capital budget that were reliant on the referendum passing that we worked with planning to remove from what came to you. This one, frankly, slipped through the cracks, so we concur with Council Lady Henderson's characterization.
That answers all your question, Council
Yes,
Lady?
thank you very much.
Council Lady Dow?
I had my button pressed for the vote, so I'm sorry I didn't turn it off. It was.
That's
still
okay.
pressed.
Councilman Swope, are you seeking recognition on Amendment C?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask the sponsor a question why you're not including 17 AR 0009, $630,000 artist design transportation infrastructure projects as well?
Council Lady Henderson?
I cannot speak to that specifically. I guess that I would say that I think we as a community support and encourage transit in the arts, and that these last two amendments, both the withdrawn and this one about which we are speaking now, were mutual planning, arts, and MTA cleanup amendments. And I am doing this on behalf of Councilman O'Connell, and thus I cannot speak to it particularly. But I don't know if there's anyone else present who can, or Mr. Jameson, if you know more about it.
I don't know why.
Thank you, Councilor Henderson. And I only ask that question because the captions are so vague.
Indeed, yeah. So to say master planning for the transit system, to remove that doesn't sound great,
And
right?
the
But
one two or one above it is pretty much kind of going the same direction. And I wonder, Mr. Bland, can you answer that question? Not to put you on the spot.
Mr. Bland?
That specific one, we're not familiar with. I think that one was more out of the Arts Committee. It might be more general transportation, not just MTA or mass transit, but I honestly can't reply intelligently.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Now we're going to take the vote. This is Budget and Finance Committee members on Amendment C, which removes $300,000 to master planning for transit system in a capital improvement budget. So Budget and Finance Committee, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, Zoning, Historical Committee, all in favor of Amendment C? Aye. Opposed? Amendment passes.
Now we're on Amendment D. Removes $50 million Nissan Stadium improvements. Council Lady Henderson, will you seek an additional recognition?
No, ma'am, that's from before.
Okay. Is there a motion? Councilman Mendez.
I'd move Amendment D with an explanation.
Floor is yours.
So this is basically the exact same fact pattern, except one additional thing. On this one, and we can get confirmation from the administration, I understand there's a current claim under the contract between the team and the Sports Authority for approximately $10 million. And so to the extent we think contractual obligations matter, I would entertain the group deciding to amend this to reduce it to 10 million instead of 50, using the logic that we used a couple minutes ago, like that actually doesn't matter, and we can just, people might want to leave it at 50. For now, I'll pursue the amendment as drafted. It's same argument, same conversation we just had.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Councilman Glover.
I will move to amend to 10 million.
Do I hear a second? Second. And we're on the discussion. Councilman Cooper.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chairman. And again, with finance, just some points of clarification. In our operating budget book, the Coliseum Capital Maintenance Fund transfer, is there a balance in that fund?
That's not a balance in that fund. That's
So we're
just
not
a
meaning a
transfer.
fund. Okay.
Right, but that's an approved transfer amount from the general fund to cover small maintenance needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the general fund. So $1 million a year. And it's a minimum of $1 million, or it is an estimated amount?
It's an estimated amount. It has, yeah.
The $1 million is for maintenance, and that is, that's contractual. That was when the Titans deal was initially approved. That was part of that deal. So it's $1 million a year, but then capital expenses we're responsible for. So that would be in addition to that $1 million a year.
Well, last year, historically, there's been an assessment of the capital needs, and that number has fluctuated a little bit, and it's now forecasted at being $1 million based on an assessment.
No, I think the important thing is it's a $1 million commitment. And we have used some other revenue sources to meet that commitment some fiscal years. So the entire $1 million has not come every fiscal year out of the general fund appropriations. So that's why you'll see some fluctuation in some of the general fund amounts. But the $1 million is still the number.
Okay. So there has been fluctuation. What are some of the other revenue sources that allowed us to pay more than $1 million?
It's like the sixth seat tax. Okay. Parking revenues?
Parking revenues?
Yes.
Now, did those revenues go away? Why aren't we still able to use those parking revenues to pay more than $1 million?
Those are still going to that fund.
Well, how were we able, I mean, what did the general fund put up last year?
I don't have that number in front of me, but again, they always get the $1 million, so you'll see a small fluctuation on the general fund commitment. But you will only see a reduction there when revenues are strong for some particular reason, for something going on.
Okay, but now there are two general fund appropriations. There's also the debt transfer fund of $3.2 million.
Exactly,
Okay,
yes.
so it's $4.2 million from the general fund.
Right.
Right, and isn't there, Director Potter was here, isn't there another $4 million paid by the Water Department for debt service? Okay,
Yeah.
so $4 million
that
from the
goes-
Water Department, and then $4.2 million for debt and capital repairs currently.
Yeah, all those.
And then these are numbers expected to last through the life of the lease? $1 million is the minimum required to pay.
So we have to pay the minimum of $1 million a year, but we're responsible for capital improvements that are necessary to keep the facility in first-class condition.
Okay.
So.
And those are two,
is
you're viewing
more
those,
than a year,
those are
more
two
than $1 million.
separate obligations. So $1 million a year and then first class, and then this $50 million would be in addition to these payments. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Councilman Glover. Wait a minute. Councilman Glover.
I'm sorry. I still was pressed from before. Sorry about that.
Okay. Councilman Prodmore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just same defense as we had on Amendment A, but also I do have a question about the $10 million. They again have to go before the Sports Authority and then before us for the $10 million. Is that correct? Now, the remaining $40 million for any more expenditures or removal from that CIB would have to come before us also, correct? So it's not just because they're wanting $10 million and if the council body approves $10 million, still they have to come for any additional amount.
Correct.
All right, so it's similar to
Your point
Amendment
earlier.
1. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Vercher. Law Director Cooper, can you give me a legal definition of first-class condition?
That term is defined in the stadium agreement. I don't have that agreement with you, but there is a definition of that. I can get that to you.
Okay, and so was that a definition solely for the purpose of that contract? Is that
correct.
something that other cities use
It
and others?
identified a number of stadiums at the time that it determined were comparable. I think that's in the agreement. But I can get you that definition. It's a lengthy definition of what first-class condition means.
Okay, and so that was just mutually agreed upon by the city
Correct.
and
Back when we built the stadium.
the Titans organization.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Seeing no further discussion, we are on the amendment to reduce it to $10 million, the Nissan Stadium improvements from the capital improvement budget. As in line with the other amendments, we'll take the Budget and Finance Committee vote first. So Budget and Finance, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, so we're going to need a show of hands. Right, so if you're all in favor for removing $10 million from the Nissan Stadium improvements, I'm sorry, reducing it. Reducing it by $40 million, I'm sorry. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and however you voted, 8. Yeah, all of it.
Opposed?
1, 2, 3. Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Now planning.
Now planning.
Planning, zoning, historical, amendment D to amendment D to reduce the amount to 10 million. All in favor?
Just a second. 1, 2. I can't show your hand. I can't.
Okay, can you raise your hands?
Hands held high. 1, 2.
Raise them high.
4. Okay. And wherever you are.
Opposed? Raise hand.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4 to 3. And I don't know where she is.
1, 2, 3.
Mina, and how are you voting? She's 4.
So it's 5 to 3. It passes.
Okay, 5 to 3, amendment passes. Okay, now we're on to Amendment E. Oh, I'm sorry.
Council Lady, I'll tell you in a little bit.
Okay. Now we need to vote on the amendment. All, Budget and Finance again, all in favor? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, zoning, historical, on amendment D, all in favor? Opposed? Any short hand? In favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Okay.
Opposed?
1, 2, 3. 5 to 3.
3. Amendment passes.
Okay, now we're on to Amendment E. And that is to correct the name from New Antioch Branch Library to New Smith Spring Branch Library. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilman Roden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I spoke with Council Lady Johnson about this. It says that the new Smith Spring Branch Library, and we both agreed it's supposed to be Smith Springs with an S. And since I'm on the committee, I said I would say something about that. So I just let Mike know. Mike, we might need to, do I need to do a motion to amend that to Springs instead of Spring?
Move to amend the amendment.
So I move to amend the amendment to Smith Springs Branch Library.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, we're doing this again. Budget and Finance, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, zoning, historical, amendment to the amendment, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Amendment passes.
Now we're back on the amendment. Budget and Finance, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, zoning, and historical, and all in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Now we're on to Amendment F. Where it's deleting a couple of projects, the banner poles on Hatley, the banner poles, the centennial celebration of Oa Hickory Village, and the banner poles on Hatley Avenue for centennial celebration. Is there a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Councilman Hager.
Yeah, this is, someone was in there the other day, and we've already had our centennial 2 weekends ago, and we had sponsors, and we did a lot of this on our own, so we don't need this anymore. So I moved to delete it.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, Budget and Finance, all in favor? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, zoning, historical, all in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Council Lady Haywood.
We eliminated 40 million, it's down to 10.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I move to suspend the rules.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I'd like to add 2 CIB projects for equity, and I would like to refer to planning if I am permitted.
You are.
Thank you.
The request is to add 2 projects in Parkland modeled on 2 parks projects for new pools and spray grounds in other parts of the county. One would request $4 million for a new Parkwood Community Center pool, and the other would request $2 million for a new Parkwood Community Center spray ground.
Is there any objection to the suspension of the rules? Council Lady Dow. Why isn't your Council Lady Dow? Oh. We'll take the vote.
Can we have Mr. Claxton repeat the items?
Okay. Planning, can you repeat the items so Mr. Jamison can have it recorded?
One request would be for $4 million for a new Parkwood Community Center pool. And the second would be $2 million for a new Parkwood Community Center spray ground.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
Vice Chair Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are those 2 separate amendments? Are we treating them as 2, or are we putting them as 1?
2 separate amendments.
Can we actually move to adopt them both at the same time? So I would move to adopt them both.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair, for cleaning that up for us. Council Lady Dow.
I don't know why my mic keeps coming on, but I will say, since it's on this time and you answered it, is that I have a couple of items that I would like to be acknowledged next. I would like to ask to suspend the rules and remove.
Okay, we'll come back to you also. Do you want to read what those amendments are for the committee?
So we're on the suspension motion has been requested and granted, and Council Lady Haywood now has requested in a single motion to amend the CIB with 2 projects. One would be a $4 million project for the Parkwood Community Pool, and the second would be a $2 million project for the Parkwood Community Center Playground.
So Budget and Finance, all in favor? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, zoning, historical, all in favor of the Haywood amendment? Aye. Opposed? Amendment passes.
Council Lady Dow.
Sorry. I'm going to correct that.
You're seeking recognition to suspend the rules?
I'm sorry. I am this time. I have 2 items that I would like to remove and from the CIB, and these are the same items I removed last year, and It's 15 PL 0001. It pertains to the Southeast Branch Library.
Council Lady, can you make your motion? I informally did it for you, but
Oh,
I
I
need you to make your
apologize. I
motion.
make a motion to suspend the rules.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any objections? Seeing none, go ahead, Council Lady.
Thank you. I apologize for being out of order. I would like to have 2 items removed. The first item is 15, P as in Paul, L 0001. It pertains to the library, and it's the Southeast Branch Library Adult Literacy Center, and it pertains to the expansion on the bottom of the Southeast Regional Library and Recreation Center. The second item I have is item number 18, A as in apple, C as in color, 0001. And it pertains to the Metro Action Commission. It's the North Replacement Head Start Facility. Do you need those dollar amounts?
If you have them.
Okay, for the Metro Action Commission, the second one, which is 18, A as in apple, C 0001, it is $8,800,000 requested funding for year 1 to start in fiscal year 2019. And the second item, 15 PL 0001, is $3,750,000 for year 1, requesting to start in fiscal year 2019.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Bettany.
Yes, where is this Head Start funding for?
I don't think you were there. We actually met, I don't know if you were there or not, with Metro Action Social Service about where to place a Head Start facility. And we are supposed to have a further conversation about replacing that north replacement. We want to make sure that
I was there, and I said that I wanted it.
Okay, well, what we can do is I can have you amend it out of 32, 28, 29, and just leave it in 31, because this is pertaining to our area, and we've had conversations about it, about locations and so forth, and so we would wish to have it removed. We can amend it back in and put it in 31.
We haven't taken a vote on it, so you're going to modify your amendment for Mr. Jameson. What's those exclude every district, but leave it in District 31.
And I don't think 31 is listed on here. It's actually in districts 13, 19, 28, 29, 32, and 33. And I think maybe we agreed for 31.
Are we in order in doing that? We can take the vote?
We can take the vote. Do you want
Okay,
to
we can take the vote on that, Council Lady Dow.
Thank you.
Budget and Finance, all in favor? Was you seeking point of order, Council Lady Henderson?
I was seeking a point of order. I just wanted to understand when we suspend the rules about something that touches multiple council districts, I mean, with all due respect to Councilman Bednay and others, I mean, if it is identified in the CIB as touching multiple Southeast council districts,
I wouldn't get in that if I was you, Council Lady Henderson.
Understood, but I just, for us as a body, I just want to point out that, you know.
I think Council Lady Dow articulated it very well.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Councilman Pulley.
Just to be clear, are we amending it out of all of those districts?
Except for District 31.
Except District 31? We don't have anybody from Metro Action Commission here to speak on that amendment?
We do not.
That concerns me just a little bit.
I wasn't done speaking before, if I can finish.
Your microphone is still on?
And I'll
Yes.
be happy to.
There is a need to help people break away from a cycle of poverty, and having Metro Action provide services in our community doesn't mean that we are going to increase poverty, but we are going to help that poverty go away. So when we met with Metro Action, I was happy to say that I will work with them to try to find a location for that facility on Bell Road. And so I'm still committed to that. I think we need to do what we can to help people break out of poverty, providing the services they need. So I'm honored, actually, to have it listed on District 31 and to work with the city to find a way to make it happen. Thank you.
Okay, I want to clarify the motion, Council Lady Dow. In the CIB, District 31 is not listed, so your motion to remove it from all those other corresponding districts is still on the floor, and we can take the vote to that. Councilman Bettany can suspend the rules to have it added to his district. Council Lady Dow.
I just want to be clear, I'm not in opposition to poverty, and I'm not opposed to Head Start. I want to say in our area, we've had 4 early childhood education programs. The challenge we're having right now, take Cambridge Early Learning Center. The kids are having to commute across Bell Road, Murfreesboro Road, Nolensville Pike to get over there. And I've attended the meetings with a lot of these families, and one of the things that they're saying is not convenient for them. So when we look at where we need to place these facilities, we need to be cognizant of where the population of people are that need access. We have 7 elementary schools between our districts. We have pre-K, daycares. We have a lot of resources for children that's young age, but the ones that come for Head Start are mainly coming from the 31. They're traveling over that side. And if you need some information on it, I can share with you some of the information. We have a school already in that area that's overcrowded. I think we have one at Casa Azafran. And so the need is more closer to that area. So it's not that we are opposed to it. And we actually spoke with her. We had a meeting. We talked about it. Right now, each time we want to congregate and put things in certain areas. But if it's not convenient for the parents to get there and the children have to commute in across town, it just doesn't make good sense for anybody. So we need to put them in areas where people are in need and where they're accessible. And so that's why we're saying that we've talked to the parents, we've met with her, and we've decided, as Councilman Bettany said, District 31, that area, which borders very closely to mine, would be a more suitable spot and more convenient and accessible for the parents to utilize it. So that's why we're doing it. It's not that we're against Head Start or any other program targeted with the youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Budget and Finance Committee members, we're going to take the vote. We understand what we're voting on. Okay, as the original amendment when Council Lady Dow suspended the rules. In the CIB, District 31 isn't listed in the CIB. If Councilman Bettany can gladly suspend the rules and have it added to District 31 if he so chooses. So this is for Budget and Finance. All in favor? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, Zoning, Historical, to remove what Council Lady Dow stated. All in favor? Oppose? Amendment passes.
Amendment passes. Councilman Bettany, are you seeking recognition?
Yes, may I please speak?
You want to suspend the rules?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd love to suspend the rules.
Okay, there's a motion to suspend the rules. It's been seconded. Any objection? Seeing none, the floor is yours, Councilman Bettany.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to request that we use the same language that was just defeated and apply it to District 31 and District 17, so we can have the city consider having a facility in our community to help the people that need help.
Thank you, Councilman Bettany. Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify, I asked Councilman Bettany to add me to his motion. There are several corridors in District 17, and if they're convenient, I want to make sure that I'm offering my district up. So just want to make sure everyone knew I'm in favor of this.
Thank you so much. Seeing no further discussion, this is Budget and Finance. All in favor? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Planning, Zoning, Historical, all in favor of Bettany amendment? Opposed? Amendment passes.
Now we're back on the bill as amended.
Now we're back on the capital improvement budget as amended. All in favor? I'm sorry, Budget and Finance. Councilman Glover.
Just very quickly, because we kind of took some stuff out of order last week when we added the flood wall on the amendment that Councilmember Mendez had done, and I know we had discussion, and I don't think several of us were ready for that discussion, but somebody decided we were going to do it, so we did. I want to make sure the $125 million that we amended out of that because water has a totally different set of rules, is my understanding. Just want to make sure we're very clear on this, that 125 million is not in the budget for them to do, or in the capital improvement budget for them to do anything else with. That 125 million, the flood wall, all of that has been removed and it's in its entirety. Is that correct?
We've already amended that out, correct, Mr. Jameson?
That is correct.
I'm just trying to get clarification. So,
Mr. Jameson, can you confirm?
That is correct.
all right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Glover. Were you seeking Councilman Mendez? No? Oh. Now we're back on the bill as amended. This is Budget and Finance. All in favor? Opposed? Bill passes.
Planning, zoning, historical, all in favor of the capital improvement budget as amended? Opposed? Bill passes.
That's it.
Want to thank Budget and Finance Committee members and
Zoning historical committee member as well.
And this adjourns our joint Budget and Finance and Planning and Zoning Committee.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.